Good morning. It's Bobby Dupre with the Bobby Dupre Show, presented to you each Thursday morning. And of course, it's at 7 o'clock, and it's also on the radio, 12:30 a.m. on your dial, and now 105.3 out of Simsport, Louisiana. So we're covering a good portion of Sin-Law is how it's referred to. And of course, they have a working agreement now, same owners, KSLO and 105.3. So that should be our signal going into that area for quite a while. And this is my friend Andrew.
Good morning.
And of course, the program replays on Friday morning at 7 a.m. on the television and on the internet version. And of course, also at 2 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays. And apparently, 2 o'clock must be the time our friend Larry Longlinay from New Iberia watches it, because shortly after that, if we need some assistance on something, he sends the email right away. And of course, this past Sunday, we needed a little help. I mentioned that a good friend of ours that has a beautiful home, well, a beautiful camp at the Point, and lives in a beautiful home, of course, in New Iberia. And I couldn't think of his name, Mr. Huey Olivier.
That's it.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that,
That's
buddy.
what I said. If we want to put him on payroll, we're going to send him the same check we get every month.
That's right. And the only thing missing is I haven't had that call to go visit Gordon Doyle's beautiful downtown home.
Larry's going to fix that up,
He'll
too,
fix
for
that
you.
up, and I'll buy the wine.
There you go.
How about that? Thanks, Larry. Have a good day, buddy. And what we wanted to start off with, I think, the memorial.
I think that'd be a good thing.
With the Veterans Memorial that's going to be built, and it looks a lot more promising now because on Tuesday there was a special gathering over at the event center at Evangeline Downs. And of course, Evangeline Downs has donated a small tract of land there for this Veteran Memorial to exist. And it's a beautiful location, easy to get to. It should draw a lot of attendance, a lot of viewers. And of course, one of our sponsors, the LAC group, Keith and Ginger Myers, donated $100,000. They were looking to get $300,000, and nothing was moving too good. When you run a 5K and a 1 mile walk and all, you raise money. Now, don't get me wrong, but
it takes a while.
Now it got kicked and should be going good. What about LAC? You want to go ahead and put them down?
The LAC group started there in Palmetto. Of course, one of Keith's connections with the memorial is that his father, Mr. Wallen Myers, I guess originally from the Lawtell area, but was a farmer in Palmetto, for years and years when Keith was growing up. Served in the Second World War. So, good connection there. But LAC Group, all about helping people. And it's not just helping people in the community like this with this type of events, which they do a tremendous amount of. They also help you with your medical services at home if you need nursing in the home, therapists in the home if you need the beds, the oxygen machines, all those little machines now, I don't know what half those things do. All those things that beep and whistle or button to press to call if you need help. They've got all that type of equipment as well. And Louisiana Healthcare Groups all over the United States now, locations everywhere. One of their affiliated companies can help you. Maybe you're in one parish and you've had certain service done. Maybe your mother lives in a neighboring parish. LAC Group can take care of them as well with one of their sister companies. So all about helping people. And
we want to thank the people that have been working for years now on this project. This is nothing new. It probably 5 to 8 years that Pat Mason Guillory has been working along with others.
The whole committee, right?
The whole committee. And now they can see daylight. And of course, you are familiar with the gentleman that is going to do the
Franco Alessandrini, I think is how it's pronounced. He's an artist from Italy. He maintains a home in New Orleans. He works about half the year in New Orleans and half the year in Italy. And his shop is actually in Italy whenever he does any of his work. But if you've seen any of the memorials around New Orleans near the Father Silo Shrine, the immigrant statues that are near the Riverwalk, the Riverwalk area, and Jack's Brewery, all in that area, he's done all that. And of course, the Father Lafleur Monument here in Opelousas as well, he did all that as well.
So he's coming back to Opelousas.
Coming back, yeah, he's got a good connection with us here. But you talk about that run, just to remind people, the run to help generate some money for the monument, February 26th, that's a Saturday, 8 a.m. They're going to start at the St. Landry Parish Resource Center on Cresswell Lane. You get your T-shirt, get all pre-registered. $25 early registration, $30 on the day of the event. There's a 5K walk and a 1 mile run. Call who? Call Louisiana Family Fitness right here on Heather Drive, part of the LHC group, and they can give you the details.
Last week, and possibly even the week before, but I know last week we spoke about Coach Curtis Jobert's daughter, Candace, who was living in Egypt and was having difficulty communicating with her family in the United States. Well, since then, Candace has now been able to get out of Egypt, and she's in another country nearby and has been reunited with her husband. So everything sounds good, and we're certainly happy for the Jobert family. And I wasn't sure exactly the title of what in honor had been presented to Curtis at the LSU Hall of Fame banquet that was held. Well, he was the first inductee into the Hall of Fame. So at LSU in Eunice, very deserving person, and of course someone that has worked tremendously hard for education, because that's what his first degree was in coaching.
He was one of those guys that knocked on those doors in Baton Rouge to convince them to put the school in LSU. Was he a state representative in those days?
Could have been. That was during the John McKithen era.
Sure.
And John McKithen had a lot of support in that area. And I think I mentioned the other day that Dan Guillory played a big part. He had really had a strong friendship with John McKithen, our governor. Please help me. And that was his.
Right.
That was his logo. That actually, it was said so much by everybody. They didn't know of anybody else running. They just went to it. And he was the first governor to be able to serve 2 terms. That's another. He got that law changed while he was in, and probably Curtis was one of them voting for that.
I'm sure.
So anyhow, good news.
How about Piggly Wiggly? Get some groceries. It's Valentine's Day. You're looking for gifts and flowers. They've got some of that around at your local Piggly Wiggly store, found throughout all of Acadiana. They've got New York strip steaks right now at $4.99 a pound. They come in a his and her pack. You got 2 in there, so if you just want to have a quiet evening at home that you're going to grill it, or whole boneless pork loins, $1.99 a pound. Go by Church Point, Rain, Scott, Cecilia, St. Martinville, or 2 locations in Opelousas, your local Piggly Wiggly.
I was commenting that, well, first of all, I want to let Bobby Dardo name come up again, because there are a lot of people that want to get old pictures reconstructed, reproduced. Restored. We'll get it straight in just a minute. And of course, I've got a couple of them in this book here that was given to me some few years ago. Right here, the book was presented on the program. And I need to go see Bobby. And what this is all about is a young man by the name of Don Landry out of Baton Rouge is in the process of working up material to write a book, and boxing, Louisiana's forgotten sport. And of course, he's talking about high school and college boxing, which went away in high school, I know, in 1958 was the last year that a tournament was actually held. And it's got still have a bunch of us that are still living, and it's kind of time to write the book if you want to get some interviews.
Talk to the original guys.
That's correct. And I've got a number of pictures here with some boxes, and I happen to be in a couple of them. I didn't box very much, but I boxed in 1951 when I was in the 8th grade, and I didn't fight again until 2 weeks before the state tournament in 1955. So I didn't fight many fights and I didn't box. I fought. I was not very good, but I could take a punch and I guess throw a punch.
Right.
Anyhow, it was a lot of fun. It helped me. And back in those days, we talked about it developed intestinal fortitude. And certainly want to again thank my boxing coach in 1951, Coach Bud Ducharme, who's now deceased. And in 1955, the gentleman who made me feel like I could be a state champion. And well, I came out second, so he wasn't very far off. No training, just got into the ring. Didn't have time to train and learn anything new. But I'm speaking of Coach, of course, of Coach Kermit Couvillon, who is also now deceased. Good morning, Miss Rose. Hopefully everything's going well over there in the Sunset area for you. Anyhow, if you're wanting some pictures restored, the Bon Nouvelle, Bobby Dordo, has a studio there in Ville Platte, Louisiana. And Miss Flo Inhern, be sure that we mention most, if not all, of the pictures that are at the Orphan Train Museum here in Opelousas have been restored by Bobby Dordo.
Good. Washington State Bank, all your banking needs is personal and commercial loans. They can help you with fixed rate 30-year loans. They can hook you up with that. Locations all throughout St. Larry Parish, Washington, Opelousas, Arnaville, Leonville, Palmetto, internet banking as well. Whatever you need, you can go to them. If you're building a house, fixing your house, your business, they can handle all that as well. And one other thing related to that and related back to the military too, I saw that they had buried the young man, Mr. Verrett from Port Barre this weekend, who had served in the military and had cancer, got discharged because of cancer. And they had a very nice military-type funeral for him this weekend. If you want to help defray some of the expenses related to his cancer expenses and to the funeral expenses, you can go to your local Bank of Sunset or Washington State Bank, any of their locations, to make a donation to help defray some of those expenses.
The wife, Celeste, called me, and I didn't immediately call it back. I was riding in the car, and she left a voicemail. And when I got home, I played it back, and I recognized the voice. And I recognized the name Celeste. I wasn't thinking about the Verrett at the time. But then reading my newspapers, one of the first things I saw was an article that was written by Mr. Paul South, who is the city editor for the Daily World. He took the time himself to do some research. And it's quite a sad event. This young man served two different tours. He served 2 tours in Iraq, and also, and that was in the Army.
2000 to 2007.
And then he also was previously in the Marine Corps from 93 to 96. So, I mean, this young man served for us, everybody out there who we are visiting with, not talking to, we visiting with you. And this young man, they told her that the check she had just gotten had to be returned.
His payroll
check that he was receiving disability from the military had to be returned. And of course, in steps Link Savoy, and he is a veteran advocate, as he calls himself.
KSLO was on the other side of 3.
He's working to see if some changes can be made, and I know Congressman Bustani, I know he'll be for something like that, and I know Mary Landrieu, who I've had a few dealings with over the period of years, I know she'll be for it, so should be able to get something moving on a national level, because that's where it's got to start. It's got to be on a national level. But I see where Celeste has already started working with Link Savoy from the Sunset area, where he, and Maggie, good morning to you all. And of course, not only that, but we need to make sure that when they have a fundraiser that we be advised of it, so we can ask, keep us updated. There will be a fundraiser, and they need to plan it carefully, because some money can be raised for a person like this, because we're gonna go out and try to reach out into all of Acadiana, all of our friends, just to send a small check, and it'll amount to a lot of money. So again, our deepest sympathies, and Celeste and the family and the friends are going to need our help. Another young man who died recently, his funeral was held last Thursday, February the 3rd. I'm speaking of Casey Olivier. hadn't met Casey before, didn't know him well, but I knew his daddy, of course, Al, and his mother, Judy Olivier. So our deepest sympathies on his recent death in an automobile